All right. What's up, everybody? That was interesting. That was a very interesting Chase Elliott interview. I think you got to read a little bit under the surface on that one, but I would say starting this thing off, if I'm Chase Elliott, I'm rightfully pissed. I mean, whether it was intentional or not, Chase Elliott got moved by his teammate. Um, I I would say that again, it's not intentional. You can tell he locked him up. I don't think that he was going out there just to knock Chase out of the way like that. But that was the risk Chase took being in that line, and Larson got in hot. But I think it's a good place to start off the stream. I got everything set up and ready to go. We can roll through everything, and yeah, few of you guys have said he's pissed. I can check really quick on who the chat picked. By the way, thank you, Mafire924 for the $2 super chat. Is Larson better than Chase at Watkins Glen now? I wouldn't go that far. I would not go that far yet. Let me check who picked who this weekend for the podcast. I can tell you. I'm not going to tell you the points because I don't want to go and figure that out right now. But I got everything right here. Chat, myself and Danny picked Chase Elliott. Eric picked Tyler Reddick, and Ross Chastain for Darian. But good, so good, good pick overall. Just wanted to let everybody who watches the podcast every week. By the way, it's on this Wednesday on my channel, 8 p.m. Eastern time, as well as the NWP 400 on IDK Players channel the night before. Same time. That's an iRacing event at Daytona. Going to be really fun. But let's roll right into the Watkins Glen race and get right into it. But yeah, I don't think Larson's better than Chase right now. I think they're about even. From what Larson made it sound like, Chase might be a smidge better, but Larson got in at the right time. He got the right restart. He kept himself in for the entirety of the race. It was gonna be, when you realize that only four guys were on that one pit strategy, or two pit strategy in the race, with it being Elliott, Larson, McDowell, and Busher. You knew at that point that more than likely it was going to be one of those four that won the event. Jupiter Rain, thank you for the 2. Not clean or dirty, and Chase was right to be mad. Yeah, that's about how I would say it. I don't think it was dirty. I think he got in too hot. Because 9 times out of 10, when you get in too hot like that and into somebody, you ended up crash too. Daniel Schell, thank you for the 2. Can't beat him, wreck him, stay trashy, Larson go. Now, see, I don't think so. I don't think that's what it was. I think it was Larson getting in too hot. But I don't think if he hits Elliott, I don't see Larson winning. Hold on 1 second. I will be right back. I got to get something. Okay, my bad. I had something that I wanted to show you guys at the end of the stream, so I wanted to make sure I had it on me. No, I don't think it's trashy at all. But I do think that if he doesn't get into Chase Elliott, he doesn't win this race. He's not beating him one-on-one today. But let's go through the finishing order of this, shall we? Kyle Larson was the winner. Then you got AJ Allmendinger, P2. Again, repeated yesterday, like I said on Twitter. Joey Logano in 3rd. Chase Elliott still recovers for a 4th place run. Daniel Suarez gets a top 5. He was quietly really fast all day. 6th place is McDowell, which, let me check for a moment. I believe that's McDowell's 10th top 10 this year. It is. 10 top 10s for Michael McDowell. After that, you got Tyler Reddick in 7th, Christopher Bell in 8th. 9th was Christopher Busher. And 10th, Eric Jones. I had to jump into that meme. Jupiter Rain, thank you for 2. Will Chase do anything to get back at Larson? He might nudge him out of the way when it matters for Larson. And again, while it wasn't intentional by Larson, what comes around goes around. With 11th, you have Cole Custer. 12th, you have Kevin Harvick. 13th was Austin Cindric. 14th, Alex Bowman, considering how bad his summer's been. Not a bad finish. 15th, Ricky Stenhouse. In 16th, Ty Dillon, his brother Austin in 17th. Then Justin Haley, 18th. Brad Keselowski, 19th. Denny Hamlin with a 20th place run. Looking through outside of Bell, and of course the Fly is here. When is the Fly not here? When I'm live on my channel. But outside of Bell, I'm trying to see where the other guys. I believe Hamlin was the highest, the only other one to finish in the top 20, highest finisher up there. But not a good race overall for JGR. But anyway, outside the top 20, we have Ross Chastain in 21st, William Byron in 22nd, Truex 23rd, Blaney 24th, Briscoe in 25th. I'll get to that super chat in a moment. After that, we have Ty Gibbs 26th, LaJoy 27th, Burton 28th, Eric Almirola in 29th, and Rockefeller in 30th. Hand finishes 31st. Kyle Busch a lap down, 32nd. Loris Hesmans in 33rd, a lap down. Cody Ware 34th, a lap down. Bubba Wallace finished out of the race in 35th. Kvyat finished 32 laps down in 36th. And then the rest of these guys were out. Kimi Räikkönen in 37th. Then you have Todd Gilliland, who ran extremely fast earlier in the race, 38th. And finally, in last was Tilly in 39th. So that's the finishing order for today, at least unofficially. Of course, the tech gods have been not so merciful with a lot of these this year, so we don't know. But from Napa Racing Fan 927, Elliott lost because Logano didn't push the 9 on the restart, and the Dinger pushed Larson. I really wanted my two favorite drivers to finish 1-2. I mean, that might be part of it. But again, I think that Larson got in too fast, and whether that was a push or not, that's on him. Wasted Trash Panda for 5 says, I love Elliott fans, rabid Elliott fan tears. Use them for coffee creamer substitute. Okay, that's an interesting way to put it. You do you, I guess. Looking at some of the others through here. Larson, definitely championship favorite. I wouldn't go that far. I think he's a lot better than people think. I've been saying for a lot of the year that guys like Larson and Harvick are better than people think, but for some reason, it's just the way that fans perceive it that they're not doing well this year. Man, I knew going into this that this comment section was going to be an absolute dumpster fire for fan bases back and forth just because of how this happened. Because I can say as someone who watches as a passive outsider, I don't care either way for Elliott versus Larson, whatever. It is pretty interesting to see the amount of back and forth between those two drivers. So. What's up, IDK? Norm to the 91. If that's Norm Benning, I approve. They're showing racing for the championship first look on USA. That's pretty cool. Larson is second in regular season points now. I don't doubt it. Larson has been really consistent this year. And again, people just are not taking him as a serious, viable threat for the championship, and he should be. Not every year is going to be a 10-win masterclass of driving. Larson is, going to, I believe, this is talked about on Twitter and other social media platforms before the race about whether he's a GOAT or not. I wouldn't put him there yet when it comes to all-time racing drivers, but I think one day he will be in that category. And so seeing him get so far 2 wins, 10 top 5s, and 13 top 10s is not a bad year. That is a normal year probably for Larson. 10 wins is not going to be something that happens very often in this day and age, especially with NASCAR trying to make everything so even. Gavin Adcock, thank you for the 5. Second win of the season for my driver, and don't think he's really earned either win this year. Yes, but there's been other races where he's been one of the guys who you think is going to win, and he hasn't. So I wouldn't necessarily say that just because he didn't, go out and flat out dominate or something happened to get him a win doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve it. Because I know a lot of people are going to argue that. Yeah, by the way, click that like button. We're almost at 400 concurrent viewers. Only got 65 likes, so get that like on there while Andrew Meyer leaves a 5 saying, fans blasted NASCAR for rain racing in Stillwater at Coda. Now when NASCAR delays the start to avoid that, all of a sudden they're blasted again. I will get to that in a moment. I posted a meme about that just because of what Kimi Räikkönen had said before the race about it. But I think push comes to shove, that probably was the right move. Nova Stone 12, thank you for the 2. What happened to the 9 on road courses? 4 chances to win, late, 0 wins. I mean, he got outclassed at Road America. I think he would have won Indy, but he got taken out. And now this one, kind of the same deal. He probably should have won this race, but in the end was taken out. But let's go through some of the stuff, some of the big points of this race, as we got 400 watching right now. Again, click that like button. Let's get over 100 likes. So I'll leave a poll for you guys while I'm thinking about it. By the way, speaking of polls, there's a poll in the community tab of what you thought of the race. Vote in it, please. Really cool to see what everybody thinks for the most part. All right, I'm going to move the message up here, and I'm going to leave you a poll because the big talk has been about Harvick being the next guy in line behind Chase Elliott, but now I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of Larson fans arguing for that. So I'm going to say, who is the better title threat? And I'm just going to leave it with Harvick or Larson. 4 versus 5. I want to see what you guys think about that one. So there we go. We got over 415 watching. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Well, let's go kind of into what the race, event-wise had going on. There was a big 1-hour delay before they called off another start. Overall, about a 2-hour delay for the initial start of the race. They started with rain tires, with it raining lightly. God, man. Got something in my throat. But Chase Elliott started on the pole. Kind of ran off for the first couple laps. But with the wet tires, with his experience on him, Michael McDowell took the lead. I was pretty happy about that. McDowell supremacy all the way, baby. By the way, Cody Workman, thank you for 199. 9 fans at Atlanta, yay Chase. 9 fans today, angry at Larson. Yeah, but that's part about being a fan. Again, I don't, I know I made a bit of a stink about the stuff at Atlanta, and it was an avoidable move, and it's the same deal with this. Like, that was an avoidable move by Kyle Larson. Whether he was pushed or not, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was definitely very. It was very avoidable. But like, Bluey Intro says, Larson did seem upset after the race. I think he genuinely was upset. And I think Chase was. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But for the most part, what was really the big theme in stage 1 of this race was wet tires versus slick tires. How long did you stay out on the wets versus slicks? And in the end, that really shuffled up a majority of the strategy. That's where you saw McDowell, Larson, Elliott really set the tone for where their race was going to go. That is something that when it plays out correctly, which is really, hard to do nowadays with stage racing at road courses, when strategy plays out correctly, it is a beauty to watch in hindsight. And that's what it was with this one. Larson, Elliott, and McDowell, one of those 3 was going to win. If the other 2 weren't up there, McDowell would have won. If Larson, wasn't up there, Elliott would have won. If Elliott wasn't up there, it probably would have been Larson. And that's the beauty of when actual strategy at road courses can play out instead of being kind of chopped up with stages. Dan Michelle, thank you for the 2. At least Jimmy Johnson never dumped Jeff Gordon. They raced hard, though, and there were times those 2 didn't like each other. This is very much a repeat of that. People forget 2010. Like, Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, especially Jeff Gordon, hated Jimmy Johnson, it felt like, at times on track. Just look back at Texas, for instance. if you want to see what Jeff Gordon at the time thought of Jimmy Johnson, you can tell there was a lot of stress and tension there. And I'm getting the feeling that's how it is between Elliott and Larson. They'll get it figured out. I mean, Rick Hendrick sat Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus down with milk and cookies when they couldn't get along in 2005 and turned it into 7 championships. So I wouldn't read too much into it, but I think into the playoffs starting out, it's going to be very interesting to see. By the way, we have 500 watching, 128 likes. Lick that like button, y'all. It's awesome to see all y'all out here. Garbage Plate, thank you for the 199. Had they started, would have stayed. I apologize. I don't know what you mean by that, but thank you for the super chat. Milk and cookies, key to championships. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're the other 34 to 38 guys out there, I would pray to God that Rick Hendrick doesn't bring in Elliott and Larson with that if anything goes further. But looking at stage 1, Chase Briscoe got another playoff point added to his tally. Reddick got P2. And looking through, there were some really cool stories earlier in the race when it came to finishing in stage. I talked about earlier, Todd Gilliland ran pretty well. He finished 4th in stage 1. Ty Dillon finished 7th, and he was pretty fast and up there for a lot of the race. Like I said earlier, he finished, I believe, 16th, which is not bad for Ty Dillon. McDowell, of course, in 8th. And the one that I think a lot of people didn't realize is that Kyle Busch was up to 9th after coming from the back of the pack. Really good drive for Kyle Busch, even if it didn't end out well at the end of the day, but is what it is. At that point, they also announced that because Blaney did not score any stage points, it meant that Chase Elliott locked up the regular season championship. 15 bonus points to him come playoff time, so that's going to be huge, especially since he already had a pretty sizable gap on the rest when it came to playoff points. In stage 2, starting off, Todd Gilliland ran away with the lead. Todd Gilliland has a lot more talent than I think his equipment has shown at different points. The 34 and 38 are on different levels, but today they were on the same level. And that was really impressive to see. Until his axle broke, there was a 4-car battle for the lead. And get this is the weirdest makeup of them. Like, some are normal to be up there, but the other 2 teammates aren't. You had Todd Gilliland leading over Joey Logano, leading over Kyle Busch, with Michael McDowell coming up on both of them. That was pretty fun to see. Seeing 2 guys like Logano and Busch, and even Busch this year, especially this summer, has not been great. But still, having those 2 against the front row guys, pretty cool to see. By the way, like Log Drive says, let's leave an F in the chat for Todd. F for Todd. John P., how bad is Kurt's concussion? Will his brain recover soon? I don't know what's going on inside Kurt's head. I hope he does. But as someone who's had a concussion, it's more difficult to judge long term. He might be fine tomorrow. He might not be fine for 3 years. Like, that's just the nature of concussions. I'll say this: if he's not ready by playoff time, I hope they set him out. That way, there's not a playoff spot just stuck to waste out there. But it is what it is. I said, who's the better title threat? About 6 minutes ago, over 300 of you voted. 69 nice percent say Kyle Larson, 31% say Kevin Harvick. We're going to end that poll for a moment. But with Gilliland's broken axle, Logano got the lead for a bit. The other big incident really during that stage was that Rockefeller and Reddick spun. Reddick had a good redemption from that spin, finishing in 7th. He was up in the top 5 late on that restart, but he just didn't have the car that it seemed like he had at Indianapolis. He was no match for the Hendrick guys, the front row guys. You could even argue Suarez up there had a better car than him. Reddick just was not as good as he normally is with it. But looking into the way that Stage 2 finished out, you had Logano and Kyle Busch up there, McDowell, those guys. Ty Dillon with a 5th place. Again, whilst points don't mean as much, getting those 10 stage points is probably going to really help out come money payout time. Remember, top 25 in points, I think it is. There's a cutoff of who gets a bonus in the final season payout, which is probably really good for Petty GMS, which is basically the GMS team. So there's that. Thank you, by the way, to all the mods in the chat for helping out with that. Pretty cool deal. You guys are awesome. Just want to let you know that now. But Joey Hand had a really good day going. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but he had a really good day going. Finished 6th in Stage 2, making that Rick Ware car, really competitive. And again, you can say what you want about Rick Ware Racing. I get it. I make the jokes too. But Rick Ware Racing has shown a lot of different times this year, whether it be the Clash or this, or Super Speedways even, where even then they really weren't that good. But they've shown a little bit more of a competitiveness that they didn't have before. And again, you got to look at this compared to the rest of the times and the rest and other seasons of Rick Ware Racing where they were moving chicanes. It's it's a different level that they have, which is interesting to see. It's interesting to see them actually improve their performance with this new car. Looking at some of the other stuff that happened though after that, the final stage started. McDowell early in the stage ran away with the lead for a bit. Even with the caution with Austin Dillon and Kimi Räikkönen, he still kept the lead until Chase Elliott passed him by. After that, there were just a lot of incidents in pitting. 35 to go, McDowell and Larson pitted, whereas 33 to go, Chase Elliott pitted. After that, there were spins with Briscoe and Chastain with 26 to go, 25 to go with Cody Ware, and then just a lot of spins until the finish of the race. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good race. I thought that it was fairly competitive. The guys who are the best are, of course, always going to be the best. But at the same time, there were guys coming up through the field that were running in the top 10 and top 5 off speed that we probably going into the weekend didn't think. I talked about Joey Hand earlier. But there was Kimi Räikkönen, who I thought maybe a top 20 would be good, getting into a Cup Series car for basically the first time this weekend. I was not going to have my expectations through the roof, but he ran well. Got up to, I believe, 8th or 9th at one point. But unfortunately, the incident bug called Ross Chastain bit again. His teammate, of course. It's rough because that one was definitely more on Chastain. Chastain made the mistake into the corner, caused the accident and the pileup to happen, and just a circumstance of unfortunate events, Babely. God, I can't speak. But that's really it was. It was just a lot of unfortunate events leading to that. Chastain, whether it's his fault or not, he gets into about an incident or two a race. That's just how it is. But I want to look at what you guys are thinking in the chat here about some of this stuff. I was trying to watch all the main storylines, but this was probably the best Watkins Glen race in a long time. Stage racing definitely hurt Watkins Glen in a big way, but this time really wasn't. They actually kind of helped it with the strategy moves. Obviously, a lot of late cautions will help get the action spiced up too, but even without that, I thought it was a very solid race, at least an 8 out of 10. And it wasn't a complete wreck fest the way that Indianapolis was. So I was happy with that. Marky Mark, thank you for the 2. Chastain caused an accident, and then a bunch of faces like, oh, really? Like shocked. That's pretty funny. Napa Racing Fan has an interesting stat line here. William Byron now has 1 top 10 in the last 17 races. Yes, William Byron, I believe, was a lap down in stage 1. And was pretty pissed on the radio. And as he should be. He should not be racing there with a Hendrick Motorsports car with how well he did the day before. I don't care what the reasoning was. Having him a lap down and not being able to get back on the lead lap is pretty jarring, to say the least. But looking at where he finished 22nd. It's just between Byron and Bowman, half of Hendrick Motorsports looks like a complete championship contender. The other half looks like an amateur team in comparison. So the Hendrick Motorsports is not as strong as they were last year. Yes, Kyle Larson, of course, was the dominant one last year, but Alex Bowman had 4 wins last year. William Byron was up front a lot more last year, and Chase Elliott was I would say about the same level he is now. Maybe not exactly the same. He isn't the favorite, but of course, when everyone else is sort of running a little worse than last year, and being the favorite this year might be different. But I'd say, Mr. H has a lot of things to look at with those teams, and I believe William Byron just signed an extension. He's going to be there long term. He has a higher ceiling. I mean, that's just the cold, hard truth of it. He has a higher ceiling than his teammate Alex Bowman. But at the same time, they put more into Byron. But at the same time, Bowman has that sponsorship with Ally. Like Napa said, he outruns Byron week after week. But he's not doing great either. He had a pretty abysmal summer stretch. If Kyle Busch signs a 1 year, just kind of, nice deal with JGR, pieces it together for a year, I would not be surprised if Rick Hendrick comes knocking on Kyle Busch's door. Why wouldn't he? Maybe he, like I said before, maybe he eats the contract that Bowman has. Maybe that's how it ends out, and Kyle Busch ends out his career in the Hendrick Motorsports 48, the team that he started his career in, though it was the 5 car. Though, based on... No, never mind. I was about to say based on how the teams shook out, it would be close, but it wouldn't, actually. Andrew has a good point. Ty Gibbs was a surprise no-show today. Yeah, Gibbs in 26th. I mean, I would say this is probably, of all the road courses, probably the most difficult for somebody with minimal experience in this car to go to. So I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing. It's about how he should run. I don't think how well he ran finishing Pocono as well as getting a top 10 before and running well at Michigan. I don't think that's exactly how we all thought he would run subbing for Kurt Busch. So this is how he should run. He's going to be a younger driver. Tracks like this are going to throw him for a loop. By the way, we were over 550 watching. Let's get to 200 likes here, shall we? If you would be so nice as to do so. JC, what's up, man? JC1424. Would it be funny if Kyle Busch just kept driving the 18 and wasted months of our investment in the silly season? Yeah, I think that could happen. That's what Brad Keselowski did with the 2-car. So, I don't know, man. I think that's very likely if it wasn't for the fact that they've said that they've stopped talking. A lot of trusted people in the media, and some people I know in the media that I trust, have said that connection's been broken. But maybe they just save themselves the headache and say no. I don't know. Let's see. Shout out to Eric Jones getting a top 10 43. Yeah. I mean, he's run very well in the 43 this year. Just outside the top 10 in points. Bryson says this race was crazy and amazing. Yeah, I'd agree. It was crazy. I think it was really good. I'd say I personally thought it was better in the Xfinity race, which I thought was going to be really hard to top. By the way, looking at the poll right now, we got 2.3K votes. So vote on the poll if you haven't already. It's in the community tab of my channel. So, but yeah, pretty interesting to see there. I'm going to check Twitter really quick, see if we have any updates on anything. I know that tech won't be finished, but you never know if there's, the updated point standings or whatever. It's funny because right now I'm seeing pictures like Denny Delivers. I know he's probably in the chat saying HMS fans going to be feuding, and it's Gordon and Johnson at Texas, like I was talking about. That's what I compare it to. The 5 and the 9 right now are just like the 48 and the 24 were, and especially if they go down to the wire for the championship, it's going to be really interesting to see the push and pull back and forth between those two drivers. Mark Barnum says Kyle Busch to go karts to race with Brexton. I don't think he'll be out of NASCAR. I don't know if that's like joking or not. It's hard to tell. A lot of people are like wanting Kyle Busch out. I don't want him out. He's very much a person who makes NASCAR more interesting week in and week out. And a lot of people in media have said maybe he'll take a leap year. I don't see that happening personally. I'm seeing a lot of Elliott fans really hoping Larson fails Tech. It would be cool to see AJ Allmendinger get a win. I thought it was really cool to see AJ Allmendinger and Kyle Larson battle 2 days in a row with Larson getting the sweep. And what's crazy is on the podcast, which by the way is on this channel Wednesday night at 8, nobody picked Larson this weekend, I think, except for I think one person of the 5 possible picks for both races. And of 10 possible picks to win, 1 was Larson. I think that'll be different next year. Carl Singleton, thank you for the $4.99. Did you know that George Strait declined an opportunity to sing the national anthem at the first Texas race? I did not know that. Antar Das, thank you for the $1.99. Aren't the 5 and the 9 the same teams as the 48 and the 24? The 24 back then turned into the 88, which is currently the 48 team. So no. But the 48, I believe, is the 5. The 9 team of today was let's see. I guess it was. God, wait. Well, yes, it was the 24, but not back in 2010. It's confusing. So technically, yes, I think that is the case. It's very confusing. I'm not rooting for a Tech failure, John. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm not rooting for Tech failure. I just think it'd be interesting to see AJ get a win. I like AJ. Carl Singleton asked your thoughts on my fact. It's interesting. I'd like to know why he declined the opportunity. JC1424. I don't think Elliott had the best car. I'd give that to McDowell, to be honest. In the rain, McDowell, yes. In the dry, which was about the last 2/3 of the race, I still say Elliott. Elliott, I think, ran him down and even passed him. But in the rain, it was McDowell. And I'm someone who's a McDowell sympathizer. McDowell supremacy all the way. I would love to see him win this week. Actually, I was keeping track, and, even if McDowell had got the win today, he wouldn't be locked into the playoffs because of Kurt Busch. 48 now was the 88 then, which was 20. No, it was not. Yeah, it was a 25. Again, it's so confusing. All I know is that through all of it with the 48, we got this awesome car. So that's not going to be the car that I used during the podcast this week, by the way. I'd agree with Brenda. I'd say McDowell was the third best car all day. Yeah, I'd agree. The 200 cars were way faster, but McDowell was probably the only one that could keep up with them on a regular basis. But they put, I think, 8 seconds on McDowell towards the end of the race. Recky Spinhouse says, do you think it's going to start or it's going to cause any bad blood from the last restart? It could. It very well could. Elliott was very perturbed after the race in his interview, but to his credit, held it together, said congratulations. It very much reminded me of a Kyle Busch interview without as much of the sass. But Elliott is definitely someone in the media who's very fun to watch and listen to. Buescher did run a strong race, like Mark said. He ran strong for a good bit of the race. See what else we got. Oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe, for the $1.99. If Larson fails Tech, I win $300 on FanDuel. I'll tell you what. When it comes to after the race, if you bet on any of those sites, as long as you can cash out, I would cash out immediately after every race when you win, because if the Tech gods do choose to spite the former winner, I don't know if it works that your win gets taken away either. But they can't take the money back that you don't have, I think. I don't know how that works. NASCAR Bowman 48. I think AJ should drive the 16 full-time for a year or two, and I think Kimmy deserves another shot with Trackhouse at a road course. He had a top 10 going. Let's break that comment down. So, by the way, thank you for commenting it. AJ has said that he doesn't want to do the 16 ride full-time. He just wants to trophy hunt. He likes the Xfinity Series better. But I would like to see him do a year or two, see what he can have. I mean, And again, this is no disrespect to Gregson, but Gregson has less experience in these cars and in the Cup Series in general than AJ does. And he ran top 5 at Michigan. So I would like to see how AJ could have done in that ride. And then think Kimi deserves another shot with Trackhouse or road course. I mean, I don't think they have anything planned the rest of the year. Um, but I would like to see I'd like to see Kimi come back and give another shot. I think he deserves it. He ran well enough. He has, I mean, he deserves it in general with the career he's put up in racing in total, not just one NASCAR race. I'd like to see him. I think Marcus Ericsson actually said on Twitter that he was pretty interested in driving in NASCAR, so that might be somebody to watch out for. Kyle Busch in 91. I don't know what's going to go on with that. Yeah. Cody, I get that sentiment. You know, let's race in a monsoon at Charlotte under the lights for Xfinity. Cup can't race until it stops raining. But I think it's like Cup is such a bigger show that NASCAR isn't going to want to take a chance on it, especially for the fact of the matter that they had a large worldwide audience tuning in for all those different drivers. This was for a lot of reasons a historic day. But what I'm trying to check is if there's like any news. Let me check J-Ski. Because I want to see if they have how far the gap is. Yes, they do. All right, the gap between Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Blaney is now 25 points. 25 points between them. But with Daytona, does it really matter? Because Truex could win 2 stages like he did in the Daytona 500, be 5 points behind Blaney, be well ahead of Blaney with a lap to go, and off turn 4 completely lose it. I'd say it's a must-win for either driver, personally, because you have so many good super speedway drivers who are currently below the cut line. You have, let's just look at a couple of them. Eric Jones is really good at super speedways for the most part. He might not have the greatest luck, but he was up front at Talladega earlier this year. Bubba Wallace, probably the best of any of them underneath the cut line. Chris Buescher's pretty good. Michael McDowell, really good. Stenhouse, Brad Keselowski. Now people are asking about the distance between 30th and Corey LaJoie. Corey LaJoie is 71 points out of the playoffs, meaning unless a penalty happened, he got the win and max stage points. Corey LaJoie is out of contention. Corey LaJoie will not be somebody who is running for a playoff spot at Daytona, at least if I understand everything correctly with this. Todd Gilliland is 30th in points, 374 points, and Corey LaJoie is 31st, 303. So LaJoie is out of the running. He's officially been eliminated. Mark and Mark, thank you for the 5. Kind of disappointed NASCAR took so long to dry the track. They didn't really race in the rain. Yes, but they did race on a wet track, which is different for NASCAR. Tyler Cannon. Larson is #1 trending on Twitter. Let me check that out. I'm on Twitter. I'm an idiot. I was like, let me check that out. Oh, get off this. Oh, I was on Twitter. Yeah, Larson's #1 on Twitter right now. He's above Game of Thrones. Baddies of the South. Don't ask me about pop culture. I don't know about it. Head of the NFL. So, good deal. Very good deal there. Oh, wow. Jensen Button said rock, paper, scissors for the seat when it comes to what Marcus Ericsson said earlier. So, Project 91 deal, even if neither of these guys run in the Cup Series, both of these guys are bringing the attention that I think Trackhouse wanted with Project 91. Very, very big here. Thank you, by the way, Sports Guy 070 for tagging me in that. That's very interesting. Wow. The possibilities are endless. I think the rumor I heard from few people, and they talked about it before, but is that there's a real chance of Castroneves racing at Daytona. Um, I heard a bit about that before it was a rumor on Twitter, and it's been a rumor since, but nothing really has been picked up ever since SRX talked. And they talked about it on the SRX. But that's something that might have been in the works for a while, even before I found out. Chris Cahill, thank you for the Canadian 5. Think next week's Daytona race will be more intense, be the more intense super speedway race in recent years, since it was just one spot open and could be more aggressive moves. Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. I know it sucks that I'm not gonna be watching from the stands because the energy of that race. Again, I was someone who was against it. I wanted it to stay on the 4th of July, but the energy of that race was incredible in 2020, and then with pretty full stands was absolutely insane in 2021. So I can't wait to see on TV though. I want to see what the coverage looks like. It's going to be pretty intense. A lot of people are talking about, wait, Jeff Gordon is trending on Twitter? That can't be right. There's no way. Well, The Last of Us is too. How about that? Kimi Räikkönen is 17th on Twitter in America right now. Daytona is 20th. I think that's it for racing. Maybe in sports. Let me see what it's doing in sports. Larson, of course, is number 1. Kimi Räikkönen is well towards the top as well. They don't have the numbers too much with it. Pretty interesting to see. NASCAR is making waves with this. Say what you want about the playoffs. Got people talking. I saw a lot of people who don't normally watch racing or at least tweet about it, talking about it. Saw a lot of people from outside of the NASCAR sphere and motorsports talking about it. It's a pretty big deal. This race was, and going into Daytona is pretty good. I think actually it might hurt it in ratings, but the delay might help it in ratings because it put it in the prime window. So, Irvin Alvarado says they aired the race in Finland too. Obviously, yes. Copper says Larson's such a menace. He absolutely assaulted. I don't know. I like I said, I don't think it was an accident. He went in and he locked him up and got in too hard. Spencer 5478. All winners this year are locked in the playoffs. Now it's the 16th spot at stake. Well, if Kurt Busch doesn't race, he's not. That's the thing. Will England ratings must be good if NASCAR is trending? Not necessarily. It's very hard to judge off Twitter because Twitter isn't real life. That's something that a lot of as cool as it is to see NASCAR up front on it, Twitter isn't real life. Social media for a lot of reasons is not real life either. J.K. Reader said 175. I think TV ratings are going to be great for this race. All international drivers, and of course the GOAT of road courses. I don't think when it comes to Nielsen though they don't count the international. They just count America. Nothing here. Hi Jarrett. How was your race? It was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Well, yeah. So yes, JC 1424. Kurt Busch is locked into the playoffs. Based off of rules beforehand. But I think NASCAR is left to judge, though, if he can't compete in any of the 3 races in the first round, then I don't know. I think they have the discretion to say, scratch that. If you can't compete, you're not in. Maybe they'll just leave him maybe they'll just leave him as the anchor at the bottom. One spot is already out. It's just 3 guys that get eliminated. That might be what they do with it. It's going to be really hard to tell with Kurt, though. It's going to be Kurt. I would say, Noah, yeah, Kurt Busch would be a waste of a playoff spot. I mean, missing 6 races, just like with his brother winning the championship after missing a third of the season, missing 6 races and still making the playoffs, and at that, missing 6 races and being well outside the top 20, I think at that point, it's gonna be a big what do you call it? It's going to be a waste. Daniel, or where did it go? No, Melon Smasher. There you go. I don't know why I'm reading the wrong ones. Melon Smasher 1. Jarrett, what's your consecutive streak of not missing a race at currently? Good question. All right, I've been watching since 2005, so 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, so 17 years straight of not missing one. Plus 25. So if we just count points races, 637 straight races. If we're going to count non-points races, I did not watch the Bud Shootout or the duels in 2005, but I have ever since. Which I would count the duels as 2 races, obviously, not just one big event. So I guess plus 1 All-Star race in 05. And then, let's see. If you count the non-points races, we'll say 705 straight races I haven't missed watching. So, 705 straight races in the Cup Series and consecutively I've watched. I didn't actually watch every Xfinity or truck race until about 2019 when we started covering it more for the podcast. But if you want to go with that one, I don't remember all of that. Bro doesn't touch grass on Sunday. Sure I do. I actually usually run in the morning and afternoon and work out too on Sundays. Like later tonight, I'm probably going to work out. I think I'm going out to eat after this. So, but yeah, 705 for Cup if I'm correct. I could be incorrect. It's very possible. I'm good at math, but not great. Let's see. I'm trying to think of a good poll that we can do. Like that I like always having one good poll right before we end these off because it's just really fun to do. I don't believe you unless you post you touching grass on Twitter. I guess you're not going to believe me, burritos. I might do that just for the meme, actually. But earlier, I told you guys that there was something I wanted to show you. So, if you watched Danny B's video earlier this week, he did a video on JP's NASCAR over in Central or might be Eastern Tennessee. It's a NASCAR shop an outlet that's been open for like 22 years, I think. JP's a good dude. But when I was there, I got a few different things. So, fittingly, I got Kyle Larson's Watkins Glen winner from last year. Just fitting. Because I like getting the diecast for all the, I like getting the diecasts for all the different, like, Winston Cup champions. I think it'd be fun. So, I got that. But I got another thing. I got many things. There's actually a lot of stuff that's all over my walls now that I have in here, but I'm not going to shift the camera around. But if I can figure out how the hell to open this box, I will show you the other thing I got. And I can't wear it for the podcast, unfortunately, because it's too hard to have the headphones over it long term. But since I don't have to have headphones tonight, I can wear this. All right, here we go. It's a Dale Earnhardt hard hat. It's pretty cool. So I want to see how I look on stream with it. It looks so bad. I love it. I love it. Oh man. But yeah, so I might like end the show with this on or something or have some fun with it. It's the only problem is I can't fit the headphones over it. I mean, yeah, and you can't fit this over the headphones either. So, but I thought it'd be something really cool to show you guys this week. A Dale Earnhardt hat. I like that. Yeah, but there's a few other things. I got like a old Dale Earnhardt Jr. Coca-Cola diecast. Behind the camera, I have an Austin Cindric little kind of like laminated thing to put on the wall, and a Juan Pablo Montoya one. Just different things that can kind of make the office look a little bit better. But I think that'll do it. I think that'll do it for tonight, honestly. It's been pretty... yeah, I do need to have a spot for my perfect attendance that Eric got me. But I think it's going to do it for tonight. I had a lot of fun with this race. That was really good. Remember that in 2 days, about this time in 2 days, on IDK Players channel, we have the NWP 400. It's a 400-miler at Daytona with the next-gen car. It's going to be really fun. We have some announcements on that, by the way, that you guys are going to want to see for the podcast. Special project with me, IDK Player, and Black Flags Matter. As well as the podcast on this channel, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Going to be really fun. Like I said, we'll announce stuff about that on the race. So it's going to be fun. Oh, yeah, the ARCA crash. What the hell is ARCA doing? Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. That's about all I could say about it. It's a scary crash that never should have happened. But no, when it comes to the Cup race this weekend, good stuff. Can't wait to talk about it on the podcast this week. And I can't wait to see all you guys there. So thank you guys so much for coming in tonight. I will see you later this week on Saturday night after the Daytona cutoff race. We're going to have a lot to talk about, so be sure to jump in on that one. We might even have some extra people on that one. So until next time, see ya.